So there are a lot of predictions being made right now in terms of what we are seeing in the world and the astrological events that are happening. And while this information is important and does have value, I want to remind you who is the one observing these predictions. And keeping in mind, there is only one who can predict the unfolding of your reality, and it does not come from out there. So today's video, I want to remind you of who you are as you are observing the predictions and the astrological events that are occurring, and to remain in the commanding role of those events, astrological events and things that are unfolding, because as long as you are aware of who you are, you remain in command. As soon as you forget and you slip into believing what reality is telling you, then yes, reality will be correct and you will be subject to reality. Remember, nothing is fixed. This moment right now is all that is fixed. Everything else, past and future, are simply potentials in a field of infinite potentials. Therefore, the past is not fixed, the future is not fixed. There is only one who fixes it, and that is my name is Hedley, and my whole purpose for being here is to remind you of who you are, which is the infinite I am commander of your reality. I am a law of assumption coach, so if you are finding this current reality a little tricky to navigate, I am available for one-to-one law of assumption coaching. I also have a few courses and books. You can check all of that out in the link below this video or at my website, youaretheone.com.au. And if I could ask you for a simple favor, if you are enjoying my videos, you're enjoying my channel, then please do press that subscribe button, which helps this channel to grow and to align with the right people who are calling for this information. So with that said, let's get into it. So just this morning, I was having a little scroll on my phone, which I like to do from time to time, and I am seeing so many predictions of these astrological events and these things that are unfolding based on the movements of the planets. And these astrological events have never been seen in time or space before. So there is a lot going on, yes. However, everything in your reality, everything out there is here to remind you of who you are, including the planets, including the tarot, including the star signs, including the tea leaves, including the numbers. Everything is here to help you awaken to who you are. So while everything has its value, everything is here to help you awaken to your infinite I am nature. And until you do that, you will be subject to what is happening out there, including the movement of the planets. So as I was scrolling on my phone, I saw something where I just was like, I have to make this video because this is out of control. So one of the videos says, prepare for the next 8 years of chaos. And I went, no, no, I'm not doing that. I am not preparing for 8 years of chaos because I love the planets. But as long as I am looking at the planets and what they are doing, I am in third person, which means I'm not in first person. Therefore, I'm not in command of my reality. And then I'm subject to what the planets are doing. And yes, the planets are doing all sorts of things that may be reflecting back that there is a lot of chaos happening and continuing to unfold. But as long as I am in amnesia, I remain subject to what is happening out there, including the planets. So everything out there is here to remind you of everything in here, which is the infinite observer of everything out there. So anytime you see a prediction, that is there to first of all show you the timeline that you're on. And it is there to help you remember that that timeline is not fixed. That timeline is one of an infinite number of timelines that can produce an infinite number of potentials. And you, as the infinite I am of your reality in that moment, get to choose which potential you enter into and then have reflected back in your reality. There is no one and nothing outside of you who can predict your future for you unless you allow it to, which means remaining in third person. We're going to go into that a little bit more. So everything is here to help you remember that you are the infinite observer of your reality, including the planets, including the stars, including the moon, including the currents, including the tea leaves, including the numbers, including the tarot, including everything that has the potential to predict. I want to invite you to see all of these wonderful technologies, very valuable technologies, as technologies to forecast what is potentially in front of you if you continue on the timeline and you continue in the state of thinking that you are currently thinking in. And often that is third person. Third person thinking and speaking, which is he, she, they, it, or the, means you are out of first person. You have forgotten who is the one observing these things, including the planets and the tarot and the tea leaves and the numbers and the everything else that has the potential to predict outcomes. Only I am can predict what happens next, because what happens next is created in this moment right now, and there's an infinite number of potentials that you can choose from. So while the technologies of astrology and tarot and all of those others, numerology, all of them that can predict, while they are all important, they are also here to help you come back into the infinite observer of them, and then you are in command of them. I'm going to start by giving you an example. One of the videos I did a long time ago was on the weather and how to change the weather using I am. So everything I talk about here on my channel is all about reminding you of your infinite I am presence. The weather isn't fixed. Now, I don't sit around commanding the weather. I don't need to. Most of the time, I'm just going along with whatever the weather is doing. But yesterday, I hit a wall with the weather, meaning we have had so much rain, we have had so much grey clouds, and yesterday I just was over it. I felt like I haven't seen the sunshine in so long, and I looked up the weather forecast, and it forecast another few days of grey skies, and then there was going to be some sunshine. I'm like, I can't do it. I cannot do it. I cannot do another day of grey skies. So yesterday I commanded the weather. I am tomorrow's weather, and I am sunny. That's all I did. I just remembered who I am in that moment, commanded from that first person commanding role, and I commanded the weather that I wanted to see. I woke up this morning to the most perfect sunshine with not a cloud in sight. And I went, whew, I needed that. I just needed a day of sunshine. So in that moment I commanded it, and then boom, there it is, and my beautiful day of sunshine was there. So I'm not sitting around commanding the weather every day, but when I need to, I know what to do. Now, it is the same with astrological events. We're not going to be sitting around and commanding the planets. But when the planets are doing things that we are conditioned to believe has a particular outcome, that's the moment to jump in and remember who you are. For example, we've all heard of Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is where it appears that Mercury appears to reverse and start moving in the opposite direction. It doesn't actually move in the opposite direction, it just appears to move in the other direction. And what we all know happens during Mercury retrograde is for that time, communication gets upset and, emails don't get through and phones drop out and, just communication breaks down and all of that sort of stuff. And for years, I was like, oh no, Mercury retrograde, until I remembered who I am. So as soon as I hear that Mercury is in retrograde, I immediately remember who I am. I'm like, I am Mercury. I am the observer of Mercury, and I am always moving in the right direction. And I am my communication, and I am getting to my target on time, smoothly, without any issue. I am my emails, and I'm getting through. I am contracts, and I am being signed easily. I am messages, and I'm being understood. Anything that I know happens in a certain astrological event, I will claim that astrological event with I am. Because when you are talking about the planets, we are talking about the planets, we are in third person. And if you are in third person, you are subject to that. Meaning, if I'm talking about the planets, if I'm talking about Mercury and Mercury is in retrograde, I'm actually in third person. So therefore, I'm subject to Mercury. And I'm going to be subject to the story and the narrative of Mercury retrograde. That Mercury retrograde is an opportunity for me to remember who I am and to rewrite the story in that moment and claim a new outcome. Currently, we're in Venus retrograde. So what am I doing? I am Venus and I am moving in the right direction, and I am love and relationships, and I am smooth sailing. I am easy and I'm always working out in my favor. A lot of people have reactions to the full moon. Now, when we're talking about the full moon, we are in third person. So as soon as you hear yourself talking about something in third person, you want to bring yourself back to I am. I am is the observer of the full moon. I am observing the full moon. Therefore, I'm in command of it. I'm in command of the narrative of what the full moon means. So I am the full moon, and I am calm, I am relaxed, I am easy. Whatever the outcome you want for that event, you must claim it with I am. If you find that you have some anxiety or nervousness or tension when we have solar or lunar eclipse, then that's because you are subject to the solar or lunar eclipse. That is an opportunity for you to remember who you are, the infinite I am of your reality, and to claim that event through the infinite I am. I am the eclipse, and I am smooth and easy and relaxed, and I am moving through it perfectly. Whatever the story that you want to see manifested. So let's have a look at the etymology of the word prediction, because this is going to explain things a little bit more, and this is going to remind you that no matter what is being predicted and no matter what is happening out there, there is only one who can determine the next moment in your reality. So let's have a look at this word prediction. Act of predicting, a prophecy, a declaration concerning future events, a foretelling. Okay, so now let's have a look at the word prophecy. 1200, the function of a prophet, inspired utterance, the prediction of future events. Let's have a look at prophet. Late 12th century is a person who speaks for God, one who foretells, inspire, preacher. In your reality, who is the person who speaks for God? Keeping in mind that I am is the observer of your reality. So the only one who can make a prediction in your reality is I am, is the observer. So if you have forgotten that, if you're in amnesia of that, you are still the only prophet of your reality, because you are the only observer of your reality. So even if you are looking out at somebody who is making a prediction, if you have forgotten who you are and you're listening to that person make that prediction, and then you are allowing that prediction in, you are using your I am nature to make a profit out of them. Let's say you go to a psychic, and the psychic reads your energy, and they can see, a good psychic can read the energy, and essentially what they are doing is they are showing you the timeline that you are on, and they are able to see the sequence of events unfolding on that timeline, because everything's happening now. So even though we experience these events in linear form or linear time, they can see all of those events that are unfolding. So let's say the psychic reads your energy on the timeline that you're on, and they say, oh wow, I can see you coming into a lot of money. This psychic is speaking to you in second person. They're saying, I see you coming into a lot of wealth, you coming into a lot of wealth. So you take that information and you transform it, you decode it into I am. Now, you're not doing this consciously. They're saying it in second person, but you're hearing it in first person. So what you're hearing is, oh wow, I'm going to be coming into a lot of money. I'm coming into a lot of money. You have just taken that prediction and you have transformed it into I am. And because I am is the commander of reality, you come into a lot of money. And so what we end up doing is we end up making profits of all of these very important people, astrologers, psychics, tarot readers, numerologists, all of these people who work with incredible technologies. We end up giving them the role of the prophet. We make them the prophets of our reality, not realizing that they are here to reflect back, here to help us become aware of the timelines that we are on, so that we can make a conscious decision. Is this a timeline I want to continue on? Are these the events that I want to continue seeing unfolding in my reality? If the answer is yes, then great. But they are not predicting it. They are just reflecting back the timeline that you're on based on your current field of energy. They're like meteorologists. They are forecasting the likely outcomes based on the current circumstances. There is only one prophet. The prophet's name is I Am, and all predictions from out there get received in first person and then pushed out and reflected back. So if you are hearing a prediction out there that you do not like, then you must remember in that moment that I am the observer of the prediction. I am the observer of this astrological event, and I am commanding this instead. This is where we wake up. This is where we become conscious of who we are in relationship to our reality. Nobody pretends to predict the weather. There's not a meteorologist out there that will say, I know exactly what the weather's doing. What they're doing is forecasting the likely outcome of the weather. And they have all of this technology to say, hey, this is the likely outcome. It's likely to be a sunny day tomorrow, or it's likely to be cloudy, or there's likely to be a cyclone. Those forecasts are there as invitations for you to come back into your I Am Infinite commanding role and choose a new outcome. I just did it with the last cyclone. As the cyclone was coming towards us, I was commanding that the cyclone is reducing intensity and it's just staying off the coast. And that's exactly what it did. So again, I'm not sitting around commanding the weather. I'm not sitting around commanding the planets. I am just remembering who I am when I hear something or see something that I don't necessarily want to see unfold in my reality. I'm using that awareness to go, oh, hang on a second. Mercury's in retrograde. Not in my reality. I am Mercury and I'm always moving in the right direction and in my favor. And then I just go about my day. Or I see the weather is going to be another cloudy day and I'm like, I don't think so. I am tomorrow's weather and I am perfect sunshine. And that is what I continue to see in my reality as long as I remember who I am. When I remember who I am, I just make the simple command and go about my day. There is nothing and no one out there who has the power to predict your reality. No one and nothing. Not the planets, not the stars, not the rocks, not the numbers, not the tea leaves, not the cards. They are all there just to show you the likely outcome until you remember who you are in relationship to it and choose another story. If you would like. Of course, if you're the psychic saying, hey, I see you coming into a lot of money, you're like, great, I'm coming into a lot of money. Remember, I am is the prophet. I am is the one who is prophesizing. The person who is in front of you predicting that is giving you the choice. Do not let any of these predictions go by your awareness. I mean, prepare for 8 years of chaos. No way am I preparing for that. Absolutely not. And also on that, yes, your birth chart is the blueprint of your unfolding, but it is not fixed. Your birth chart is not fixed. As long as you are seeing the birth chart, your birth chart, as this thing that is governing your life, you will be subject to your birth chart. Remember, I am the observer of my birth chart. Therefore, yes, I can take my birth chart and now I can choose a new outcome because I'm in the I am commanding role of my birth chart. If you're looking at your birth chart as your birth chart, you're in third person. There is no power in third person thinking or speaking. You must remember I am. I am my birth chart and I am choosing for this to unfold instead. The planets are your faithful servant or they are your commander. You get to decide who is commanding your reality. And I would like to invite you to make it I am. Okay, with all of that said, have a wonderful week. Stay in I am. And do not let anything get past your awareness that you have not first claimed it with I am. I know, it sounds like a lot of work. It gets easier and easier the more you remember. So just remember, I am the infinite I am of my reality, and I am the one commanding my reality into existence moment to moment to moment to moment. You are that powerful. All right, I will leave it there. Have a wonderful, powerful, infinite I am week, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.